Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. I'm going to continue with you. Thank you for coming again. Or if you're new here, I'm just sharing what I know about my native language and did some research to try to come up with my understanding perception as a contemporary Chinese user to kind of imagine backward, kind of, what do you call it, retrofitting of how the language creators were thinking about using such and such symbols to create meaning. So this is about semantics. It's meaning-making process. So far, it's fun. Okay, so yesterday we talked about 爽歪歪is a contemporary Chinese way to, in this ABB language structure, to give a little bit of a ringtone over there to show, oh, they're having fun. This is Chinese when we're having fun. We will say this is something 爽歪歪. Either it's good food or you're going somewhere, seeing something fun, that's exciting, that's a little bit higher adrenaline than usual. That's when we use 爽歪歪. So today we have 歪, okay, in 歪瓜裂枣, 歪瓜裂枣. You see 瓜 and 枣 are two types of fruit. So one is melon, one is jujube. Okay, I personally like a jujube a lot. So 歪瓜裂枣, we use the descriptors 歪 on 瓜 and 裂 on 枣 to depict the type of 瓜 and 枣. That's our, from at least the appearance, it's not perfect. It's probably a little bit deviate from the ideal of how 瓜 and 枣 should look like. And so how we express something don't look good, we use 歪 and 裂. Okay, eventually, of course, this expression 歪瓜裂枣 used on people themselves. So yeah, this is a Chinese way to say somebody who is not that good looking. And Chinese are pretty direct when they're commenting on somebody's appearance. It's almost like, it's if you ever talk to a Chinese person or live in China for a little bit, if you came across somebody who acquainted with you, they may just comment on your appearance, like, how come you look fatter today? Something like that, like casually throwing out this, little arrows at you to criticizing your appearance, because apparently Chinese, we even coin such expression to use our critique on somebody's appearance into our language. We formulate it as 歪瓜裂枣. Okay, again, 歪 came from the cookware, the lid, the pot, the stove, and then somebody's foot kick onto the cookware. So the pot is not directly over the fire. So ancient times, fire, fuels for cooking are precious. It's not turn on the stove that easy. You probably spend days, gathering material to cook, right? So if this is not aligned, it's a waste of energy. It was a big deal. So somebody created this symbol to show it's off-centered. And this is a standing person image. It means stand up. It's not sitting or reclining. So we have this two-leg human figure. That's kind of generic. It's a genderless, ageless. It's generic human, just two strokes in contemporary Chinese. Two-leg standing being, that's human. Now we have this two-leg stand apart and also have the ground depicted for you. That means somebody who is standing firmly, hips apart, standing up. So it's a very visual depiction of standing. So this is about somebody who is off-centered, standing there. So it shows the why. It shows it's not well aligned. It's off-centered. It's odd. It's not comfortable. It's not a comfortable position. It's not balanced. So it's almost like something asymmetrical. It can break because it's not, well balanced in that sense. So this is why it's off center. Okay. Gua. Gua simply is a visual depiction of some melon growing on the end of the vine and dangling over there. Okay, so that's our 瓜枣. Okay, 枣 is a little bit complicated visually, but meaning-wise, you see the top and the bottom, they look the same, except the proportion. The top one is a little bit squished more than the bottom. So visually, if we have the same element stack up twice, right? The top one appear a little bit smaller. Just visually, when we see something on the top of the other one, normally the top one is lighter, right? So visually, it's more stable. Same case. So here it's the same symbol repeated twice. This symbol means the tree. So we have this trident looking thing. It's a canopy of the tree. And then we have the tree trunk. And then we have the downward pointing thing. I view it as the spacer to mean from the canopy to the ground, there is some space in there. It's not a bush or grove, something low growing thing, but it has a tree trunk that's away from the ground level. Some other explanation is that's the root of the tree. It's explainable as well, because for a tree to grow that tall, the root have to go taller, deeper in the ground, right? So this is a tree symbol. Now with a horizontal line going horizontally and with two vertical line connect to the very end, it looks very visually complicated, right? It simply means there are spikes growing on that tree, on that plant. So this is spiky. You can see it looks spiky as well. So spiky plant. And if there are two of them stacking up, that means it's super spiky. It's double spiky. It's spiky. Okay, so that's, it's said that jujube trees got a lot of spikes on them. Therefore, language creators use this particular feature of this fruit tree of double stacking spiky trees to mean it's a jujube tree. Okay, so now we have melon, we have jujube. What does li mean? Okay, li I translate as cracked. It came with 3 parts, 1, 2, 3. The bottom, it looks like 2, but actually it's a 1 unit. Like contemporary, it somewhat looks similar to that, right? Except it's more writing friendly. Okay, this symbol came from the ancient clothing. So when in contemporary clothing, there are much more material choices and the manufacturing process to make a clothing. Like my current clothing is not even possible in ancient time to produce because my neckline is shaped around my neckline. It's not easy thing to do because fabric is 2D, it's flat. And we want to form it onto our 3D human body. It's a difficult task. Contemporary, because this is knitwear, and therefore there is elasticity. It can be more body shape conforming. It can, hug me better. Ancient times, it's only woven. There's no knitwear back then. So woven fabric, so it's less stretchable. It's like, imagine a tablecloth, okay? You put that tablecloth on your body, how it will shape. Most likely you're going to have a neckline like that, right? If you wrap tabletop on you, 2D into 3D, you're going to have a neckline like that. That's exactly what ancient Chinese apparel neckline clothing looks like. And then this is the backside of the neckline. Have maybe a little bit dart over there. Or I view it as to complete the look. This is accessory of the headwear, because to work out in the field, you have to have a good kind of personalized and mobile umbrella and hands-free as well. In picture, the cone-shaped hat by Vietnamese, most likely Vietnamese, because they work heavy farming activity outdoor, wearing that cone-shaped hat. In some regions in China as well, people wear that as a sun filter without applying sunscreen every day, right? Which is environmentally concerning and also health hazard. Maybe this is a natural physical way to block the sun out. And it's hands-free. It goes with you. You just put it on and it covers your whole a big area of your body, right? So we can view it as such a cone-shaped hat to complete the look of the clothing. So this is apparel. And then we have the knife symbol up there. So this is the hand of the knife. This is the edge, one side of the edge of the knife. This is probably the dull side, so we don't cut, right, on two sides. And then here, the left side is kind of a bone, a broken bone symbol. So this is the bone, kind of a joint of the bone. And then there are three kind of a hair-looking fluid shape symbol. We can view it as ancient times is hunter-gatherer society, even if the clothing symbol came later, because we then mastered the crafts of clothes making. It's a cottage industry, right? Wives make clothes while husbands go farming. That's later agrarian society set up. Pre that is hunter-gatherer. So men hunt, women gather. And this hunting of the meat, a lot of times you need to skin it or pulling the hair off or something related to having bones separated from either the fur or from the meat. So this knife paired with this symbol on the left, which is bone next to hair, is to shave the bone and meat part. Supposedly meat is on there, is not depicted, from the fur. So this separation probably was a pretty common practice back then when it was hunter-gatherer. That means like your own clan or people in your family go capture protein, meat in that form, and you have to process it. So later on, butcher as a profession becomes specialized. Not everybody have to handle raw meat anymore. In the sense of separating the furs and the bone and meat, all that. But at the beginning, that was a common practice spread out among the population rather than specialized, right? Okay, so this knife cutting bone from hair is this separation process. You can imagine it as butchering, cutting, okay? And then paired with clothing, it means to cut the cloth into pieces. So back then, imagine. Chinese doesn't have scissors. Didn't have scissors back then. To cut fabric into two pieces, they have to use a knife to cut it. And then the raw edges, imagine this is the edge of the fabric going kind of uneven with some lint. I'm not sure if it's called lint, some fibers or threads sticking out. So this depict that, raw edge of a cut fabric. Okay, so this eventually means that look, that of not exactly finished look, right? They're opening, they're cutting. It's kind of a wound on the fabric. So here is like a cracking, opening wound on the jujube. So jujube is supposed to be like a perfectly formed, but this is a deformed one. And the same as this off-centered, unbalanced melon. It's not perfectly symmetrical. It's off, right? So Chinese use this 歪瓜裂枣 to depict ugliness, something who is, I use who, because eventually this 歪瓜裂枣 a lot of times used on humans. We are not talking about 瓜 and 枣 anymore. We're talking about especially guys. Imagine parent of girl commenting on the suitor of the girl. And sometimes they will unkindly use this 歪瓜裂枣, like, don't even consider those 歪瓜裂枣, something like that. I'm not saying my parents say that to me, okay, but I can see that that's the life's use of this application of this phrase, 歪瓜裂枣, depicting, not perfectly formed, not symmetrical, something is off about that person, especially on the appearance, and that, unkind phrase about a human's look was such expressed in Chinese, 歪瓜裂枣. Okay, hashing into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.